Okay, it's ready.
My name is Alan Lester Halcomb, born and raised in Gordon, Kentucky. April the 2nd, I'll be 82 years old. And guess what, folks? I'm still ticking. I killed my biggest white-tailed buck in my whole life, 220-pounder, 10 points. It was a monster. I caught my biggest smallmouth bass this summer, or last summer, 20 inches long. I grew my biggest personal best cabbage. Now don't start pulling your pant legs up, but this cabbage weighed 27 pounds. I weighed it twice. So I've had a good, 2017 was fantastic. I have some stories for you. I hope you enjoy them, so just kick your shoes off and lay back and watch this thing. So I want to go back early in my childhood days. I mean way back when I was like 3.5, 4 years old. My dad took me and 2 or 3 of my other siblings, took us to the grocery store. We had to walk 2.5 miles there, turn around and walk 2.5 miles back home. Now when Dad took more than just one kid with him to the store, he would buy one kid a piece of candy or chewing gum, and he dared you to share it with your brothers and sisters. That was yours. He wanted you to have it and nobody else. Boy, would that make my mother that'd make my mother rooster fighting, man. But anyways, Dad bought me a little bitty brown paper bag, just stuffed with little bitty long sticks of bubble gum. He handed it to me and he said, now, don't you share this with the others. And he was serious about it. And so we got ready to leave the store, walking back home. Dad was in front, and the rest of us, I would be right behind Dad, and the other kids would be like Dad would have us lined up, following him like a gaggle of ducks, okay? One behind the other, but I was right behind Dad. And I chewed this first piece of bubble gum, and I got most all the sugar out of it. And I just could imagine how my brothers and sisters behind me would like to have a piece of bubble gum. So here's the good part. I'd chew that to get most of the sugar out of it. Then I'd take it out of my mouth, and I'd walk alongside the road. I'd find a real pretty clean rock, and I'd lay that piece of gum, I'd take it out of my mouth and lay it on that rock. The next kid behind me would walk up and pick it up, and they'd have bubble gum to chew. So forth and so on down the road. I would chew a piece of gum, get the sugar out, and lay it down. The next kid back. So before long, everybody had bubble gum. And that would make my mother so mad. And my dad never did change his ways. If he wanted a particular kid to have something, he'd buy it for him. And that was an interesting story. Now here's a story that goes back a little bit before that story, okay? I don't remember this story, but I remember my mother telling me about it, okay? One morning we got up, and after breakfast and stuff, I kept aggravating Mom. Take me to the store, I want some candy. I just kept harping about it. Come on, Mom, take me to the store, and I want some candy. And evidently she slapped me around a little bit and got my attention, got me shut up about it. And then after a little time went by, she missed me. Where in the world's Alan Lester? Where in the world's he at? And she got to thinking I was wanting to go to the store real bad. She had to run. Now this was almost all the way downhill to the main road. She ran a half a mile down that, like a pig trail, down to the road. At the road, there was a big wooden gate across the road, the path, and Mom said she got down there. I was right on tip top of that gate, crossing over to head up the road to the store. And she pulled me right off at the top of that gate. Now, she never did tell me what she done to me. But I bet it wasn't very pretty. I didn't do it anymore. So that's another story about when I was very, very young. And now here's one. Now hold on to your boots, okay? Boot top. It's as genuine. It is real. It happened. Now I was in a poor family. I mean, just dirt poor, maybe rock poor. Let's go back to 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. Okay, there were several little girls in the community going to school with me that were from wealthy families. And their kids could have chewing gum. And there was 3 or 4 little girls, and just before recess, they'd slip that chewing gum in their mouth and not let the teacher catch them, see, because chewing gum in the schoolroom was a no-no. I'd watch them, and just before the recess bell rang, I'd watch the little girl. If she was chewing, I'd keep an eye on her, and I'd watch her. She'd pull that chewing gum out of her mouth and stick it up underneath her desk. Recess came, everybody outside. Not Al and Lester. I was the last one out because I'd go over to that little girl's desk and I'd put my hand up underneath the desk. I'd find that warm piece of chewing gum. Boy, I'd grab that off, put it in my mouth. I was outside chewing gum big time. Then when it was time to get back in the schoolroom, I'd spit it out and get rid of it. But the next day, lunchtime, time to go home, I kept an eye on those little girls with their gum. And that way, I could have chewing gum too. And now, like I say, times is hard and you do a lot of things you normally wouldn't do. But I figured those little girls were just as healthy as I was and it wouldn't make me sick at all. And you know, it never did. Now, I wanted to share that with you. And
do you remember whose gum that you took?
Mavis, Shirley Cornett, her dad owned a big grocery store. She was a grade ahead of me, real pretty little blonde-headed girl, and I really liked her chewing gum. And
what was her dad's name who owned the store?
And wait just a second.
Okay.
Cornett, Grand Cornett, and Chester Cornett. Chester Cornett was her dad's name. And I don't know what her mom's name was. But Shirley was a real pretty girl. And then she had I guess a first cousin. I'm trying to think, Anna Cornett. And her folks were well-to-do, and I would get her chewing gum too. And my closest friend was Shirley Dolores Coots, and she was in my class, and her dad had a good job, and they had plenty. Matter of fact, they was wealthy enough to, the kids all wore shoes in the summertime. If you saw a kid wearing shoes in the summertime, you know darn good and well they are wealthy. But Shirley Dolores Coots, Lawrence Coots was her dad, and Ida Coots was her mother's name. And they always had plenty. And she had gum. And I chewed her gum. There's 4 little girls. I had all the gum I wanted. At least when they were chewing gum, I knew I'd have some. But by the time I hit the 6th grade, I'd grown up, and Mom was getting her hands on some money, and we had our own chewing gum. By the time I got in the 6th grade, I didn't have to do it anymore. But that's something I want to share with the whole world.
Oh, tell them about when you became a teacher, your gum rule.
Yeah, I was an elementary teacher and for 4 years. And my first year was head of the Cumberland River. Now that's up the river from Eolia. I mean, just a half a mile to the Virginia line. And first day of school, got there. Yeah, first day I'd ever taught school. Walked in, had 54 kids in that classroom. It was a 2-room school. I had 5, 6, 7, and 8th graders, and the other teacher had the rest of them. And I told them right off the bat, okay, kids, guess what? If you want to chew gum in class, you just chew all the gum you want to chew. I don't care. But try to keep the noise down a little bit. And I don't care. And guess what happened? Almost nobody chewed gum in that schoolroom. That was my way of tricking them. And, well, it wouldn't have been no fun if there had been a rule against it. Then it would have been fun to break the rule and get by with it. Well, I taught 4 years, and all 4 years, the kids could chew all the gum they wanted. And as far as I know, I'm the only teacher that ever allowed gum chewing in the classroom. And it didn't hurt them not one bit. And so I'm glad to share that story with you.
So your first year of teaching was near Eolia. Do you remember the name of the school?
Maple Grove School. Now this was on up the river from Eolia.
Okay.
Eolia was a big mining camp.
Okay.
And this was way on up the river.
Yeah.
The Cumberland River, most places you could take one good jump and jump completely across the Cumberland River. And
what county was that in?
as in Letcher County.
And about what year was that?
1958 and 59 school year.
Okay.
And the first year I taught school, I was single. Then I got married, taught 3 more years, and I told my wife at the end of the last day of the last year I taught, I went home, I told my wife, I said, put some work clothes in a suitcase, I'm going north to get a factory job. She says, why? I said, well, I'm only getting paid 9 months out of the year to teach school. That's not enough to raise a family. You want 3 more kids. That's going to be 6 people I have to feed and take care of. So I have to have me a good paying job. And I'm going north and get a good paying factory job. And I did. And it paid $3 to 1. I was working all year long and lived happily ever after. I worked for the same company 44 years and 5 days and retired, and I never looked back. So
that was Mall Brothers in Winchester, Indiana.
Yeah.
You worked for them.
Yeah, I worked for Mall Brothers, and then it went from Mall Brothers to Mall Technology. We made the big machines that make the bottles and jars, pop bottles, baby food jars, whatever. We made the machine that actually made that thing. And
before we wrap up the video, so your first year you taught at Maple Grove. Do you remember your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year where you taught?
I taught 1 year at the head of Leatherwood at the, there's a big coal company up there, Blue Diamond Coal Company. I taught there 1 year. And then I taught 2 more years down at the high school on down Leatherwood Creek. They had a big high school. I taught the 7th grade there 2 years. And that was the end of the teaching thing.
Okay.
It was a good job. I loved doing it. But hey, you can't take dedication to the cash register at a grocery store. They won't accept it. You have to have cash. So I got a better job down the road. What other stories you got?
I think that's it. I think you're at 15 minutes. Yep, you're at almost 16 minutes.
Okay,
So we'll have to tell them more another day.
Yeah, hey, guess what? Bye.